Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, it's a bit of a sad day today. Captain Stubing of the Love Boat passed away at the age of 90. And I think I can honestly say that he kind of inspired me in a lot of ways. So Gavin Macleod, the actor who played Captain Stubing on the Love Boat, was not born Gavin Macleod. He was born Alan C. February 28, 1931 in a little town called Mount Kisco, New York. He said he changed his name to Gavin because he liked the sound of Gavin, and he changed it to Macleod in tribute to his college acting professor. And if you were his acting professor, you have nothing but high praise for yourself because he went on to have a great career in Hollywood on two of the most beloved sitcoms of all time. He first landed the role of Murray on a news writer for headlines on the Mary Tyler Moore Show from 1970 to 1977. And it was supposed to be a very small role, but people drew to his character interacting with Ted from the show, the anchor, the buffoonery, and his connection with Mary. It just seemed to go on, and his role grew and grew from the first season. And then he got his iconic role, Captain Stubing of the Love Boat, which ran for 10 seasons from 1977 to 1987. Now, 87 seems like a long time ago when you're thinking of today's dates, but we still think of the Love Boat as what really launched cruising even today. It spread a lot of love for cruising. We watched it on television from wintry, cold climates that we were huddled up in front of our fireplaces, and we would watch it on TV. Back then, TV was literally 2 or 3 channels, right? And it brought us to destinations of warm, sunny climates, beautiful Hollywood stars lounging by the pool, funny characters on a show interacting and falling in love on the show, and just visiting destinations that we were only dreaming of going. And it made it look so fun that it really launched cruising. It really launched a lot of the love for cruising. I know for a fact it launched the love of cruising for my parents, who instilled it on me. And so I honestly can say that that little show, The Love Boat, just launched everything. Now, Gavin Macleod playing Captain Stubing has been a very loyal ambassador for cruising even after the show ended, all these years. Many, many times he's been the ambassador for Princess Cruise Lines. He's done commercials for them. He's done special shows on his ships for them. He's written about it. I mean, his last book that he wrote was This Is Your Captain Speaking. And whenever I hear those words when I'm on a cruise, This Is Your Captain Speaking, I immediately flash back to that series because I remember him and his voiceovers on the television show. It is one of my fondest shows of all time, and it's just a goofy cornball comedy. It is filled with cliches. It is filled with things that wouldn't go on today. But in all honesty, I absolutely loved it. It had huge stars would show up on the show. You would have Sammy Davis Jr. show up. You would have all the Hollywood stars and some not so memorable Hollywood stars. But it was just fun to watch. And it went on for 10 seasons, so I guess I wasn't the only one watching it. Gavin passed away at the age of 90, left 4 children behind, and his legacy will go on. He will be remembered, especially by fans of Princess Cruises, probably forever. as the original captain of Princess Cruise Lines and the original captain of the Love Boat. And no matter how many times that show would ever get rebooted or redone in a different way, he will always be the captain speaking at the end of the intercom. He inspired me for cruising. He inspired thousands and thousands of other people to want to cruise, a goofy little show on television that inspired people around the world. And what I really like is every time I looked into him and I researched him, because I also love Hollywood and acting and things like that, I looked into his stories, and whenever anyone talked about him as a person, they never had anything but good things to say. He remained loyal to all of his fellow workers on the show. He would always be in contact with them. Some of them would say they still received Christmas cards every year, even 20 years after the shows ended. And he would randomly just call them up out of the blue just to talk and say hi and catch up, just like an old friend would do. And that seems to be Captain Stubing, if you know what I mean. Gavin Macleod was Captain Stubing. Captain Stubing was Gavin Macleod. I've never heard anyone come out and say anything bad about the gentleman. And in Hollywood, that is rare. How many people get slung through the mud nowadays, all the time? But this gentleman's been through Hollywood for decades, and we haven't heard nothing but good kindness coming from this gentleman, who even reached out and offered to help and tried to help as best he can when other cast members went through some very rough times. And that speaks very highly of the character of Gavin Macleod and Captain Stubing. I have to admit, for a really goofy show, it's probably up there on one of my top 10 shows of all time, mainly because it drove my love for cruising and visiting all the amazing destinations around the world that cruise ships can get you to, and the different ports and the exoticness of being out on the ocean and seeing those sunsets when you're in the middle of the ocean. There's no land for miles and miles around, and you see that sunset glimmering off the waves of the ocean going by. It's just something that if you've never done it, trust me, it can just make you think about life in general and how relaxing and peaceful it can be. And of course, cruise ships have really changed since those days. There weren't flow riders and skydivers and water slides and restaurants that moved up and down on the sides of the ship. There was none of that back then. There was a pool, and then they had a live combo playing in a bar. And that was pretty much it on those ships. But boy, did it inspire cruising to go from a very minor holiday destination to one of the largest holiday tourism industries in the world, worth hundreds of billions of dollars. It's truly amazing, and I can honestly say we owe it all to a very goofy show from the 70s and 80s, but I do not begrudge it in the least because it inspired me. So a fond farewell to Gavin Macleod, Captain Stubing. Whether you knew it or not, you inspired an awful lot of people throughout the world, and including me.